So the other day, as I was getting dressed for work, I started thinking about all of the things I wanted to do when I get married. Like all of the places I wanted to go and travel to with my husband and our children. And then out of nowhere, I said, well, Trina, wait a minute. You don't have to wait until you have a husband or children. You can do all of those things right now. I think it was in that moment that I realized no one was coming to save me. Hey guys, and welcome back to Exactly Correct. I am your host, Trina Felicia. Thank you for tuning in this morning, this afternoon, this evening, tonight, whenever you are joining us. Thank you. I hope that you are having an amazing day, and if you are not, you still have time to do so. I am so excited for today's episode. Welcome back. This season, we are talking about one thing and one thing only, and that is choosing yourself. And today we're starting with the moment everything shifts, right? The moment you realize that no one is coming to save you. At some point in our lives, we're waiting, right? We're waiting for things to get better. We're waiting for someone to show up. We're waiting for clarity. We're waiting for a sign. We're waiting for things to change. We're waiting for things to be fixed. We're waiting for someone to choose us, to make it easier for us. And a lot of times, most times, I don't believe that we have realized that we're waiting, because waiting feels like having patience. We're always told you have to have patience with people, right? So when you're waiting, it feels like you're being patient. It feels like you just need more time. But the truth is, we're stuck in a pause that really has no expiration date. We're just really stuck waiting, because if we're being honest with ourselves, a lot of us were taught in different ways that someone would come and change everything. Like, you may not have been told those words exactly, but in some way or another, I believe we've all have been taught that someone, some person is going to come, some physical being is going to come and change absolutely everything for us, right? And that's like the right relationship. If you get into the right relationship, it's gonna fix it. If you get the right opportunity, it's going to fix things for you, right? The right opportunity is gonna find you. The right moment would show up and finally make things make sense. So we sit in situations longer than we should. We tolerate things we've outgrown. We delay decisions that we already really in our heart and in our minds have already made, because a part of us is still hoping. I know for me, a part of me is always still hoping that something outside of us is going to shift first. Someone is going to come and it's going to happen for me, right? But then there's a moment. There's a moment when I'm sitting with myself, a quiet, uncomfortable, undeniable moment where things finally click for me. And I think that I had that moment when I was getting ready for work. I want to say that might have been 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think I had that moment where it clicked for me that, Trina, nobody is coming to save you. That's the moment. That moment when you realize, wait a minute, I'm just waiting and waiting. No one is coming to to change this for me. You're not going to get the apology you're looking for. You're not going to get the explanation you feel like you desperately need. Not the opportunity falling in your lap just out of nowhere. Not the version of someone you've been waiting for them to become, right? And at first, realizing it, when you realize that no one is coming to save you, when you realize that you may never get that apology, when you realize the opportunity that you're waiting on may not happen, it feels heavy at first. Now, because I'm not going to lie to you, when you have that realization, it's like a ton of bricks sometimes sitting on your chest, like, I have been waiting for this. When you first realize that this thing that you have been hoping for, you have maybe dreamed about, is not taking place, at least not at this very moment that you want it to, sometimes that weighs heavy. It sits with you. It feels like disappointment, right? Sometimes it feels lonely. I know for me, I've said so many times, like, man, I can't wait to get married. I'm 41. Where's my husband? I have no children. And sometimes that journey feels lonely, right? It feels like something was taken from you, perhaps. But what if I told you it's not a loss? Like, all is not lost. What if not being married yet is not a loss? What if not having that opportunity yet isn't a loss? What if never receiving the apology isn't a loss? What if I told you it's actually power? That's the power. Because the moment you realize no one is coming to save you is the moment you stop giving your power away. Because what happens is, as long as I set in, I don't have a husband, I will start to tolerate certain things that you don't have to necessarily tolerate. You don't necessarily have to deal with certain things. You stop waiting. Sometimes we start to downplay ourselves and start accepting things that you don't have to accept, and start negotiating with things that you don't have to negotiate with, because you really want this thing, you really want this person, you really want this job, you really want these things, right? So sometimes you start downplaying yourself. But what if you don't have to do that anymore? Once you start accepting, you know what? It's okay. It's all right. You start living. It makes you start living differently. It's the moment you stop waiting and you start deciding. It's the moment you stop hoping things change and start changing them yourself. One of the biggest things that I said, I was like, man, I want to start traveling. I want to start traveling. And I started thinking, well, wait a minute. I don't have to wait on nobody to do that. I can change that myself. I can start planning trips by myself, start buying the flights by myself, booking the hotel, getting up and going. When you realize that you don't have to wait on anybody to do anything, is the moment that everything changes. I promise you, it's a game changer. Everything changes, because if no one is coming to save you, that means you get to choose differently. You get to walk away. You get to start over. You get to build something new. Let me tell you something. There is nothing wrong with starting over. I know it has been like this thing, it is a negative, right? When you are starting over, oh my God, how many times do I need to start over? But let me say this to you guys. It is absolutely nothing wrong with starting over, starting fresh, starting new. There is nothing wrong with it. And I think we have put so much negative to it that we feel like, oh my God, I have to start all over again, right? But it is nothing wrong with that. Starting over is not a bad thing. You are no longer waiting on permission. You are no longer waiting on timing, right? You are no longer waiting on someone else to meet you where you are. You become the person who moves. You become that person. You don't have to give that power to anyone else anymore. And I think this is where a lot of people get stuck, because honestly, it's easier to stay in the waiting phase. It's easier to stay in that waiting period. If we're honest about it, it's easier to stay in that era of waiting. Because, oh man, this is tough. Oh man, this is tough. But waiting, right? Waiting doesn't require action. You don't have to do anything when you're waiting. It doesn't require you to step out on faith. It doesn't require you to put in the work. When you are waiting, it doesn't necessarily always require action. Waiting doesn't force you to change, because you're in that stage of, I'm just standing here waiting. I'm just, waiting lets you hold on to what's familiar, even if it's no longer right for you, even if it no longer fits you. Waiting keeps you stuck. It keeps us stuck when we are waiting. But growth, growth is different, right? Growth requires something from you. Growth requires you to move. Because nobody grows just staying in that waiting area. When you're just sitting around waiting on things to change and you're not doing anything, and that waiting process, it requires nothing but growth. Growth requires you to move. Even when you're unsure, even when you're uncomfortable, even when you don't have all of the answers, you don't need someone to come and save you. You need to choose yourself. And I think that has become one of the hardest things for us to do. But you don't need anybody else to choose you. You don't need anybody to give it to you. Get in the booth and get it for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Get in there and do the work. You need to trust yourself. You need to back yourself, because the life you've been waiting for is not waiting on someone else. The life you've been waiting for, it's waiting on you. The moment you realize no one is coming to save you is the moment everything changes, man. It changes everything. It literally shifts your thinking. When you realize and accept that, wait a minute, nobody is coming here to change this for me. I got to do this and get this on my own. It changes, something in you switches, and it even changes your thinking, because now you stop waiting, you stop hesitating, you stop giving your power to things outside of you, people outside of you, and you finally become the person who saves yourself. That's the thing. You finally become the person who saves you. Today, my goal was to open us up this season with accepting and realizing that it is okay for nobody to come save you. Because when you realize that the things that you've been putting off, or the things that you have been holding on to, when you realize that you don't have to give that power to anyone else, meaning, and I keep saying this because I can only talk about the things that I want, meaning that I don't have to wait to have a husband to go and see the world. I don't have to wait to do that. I don't have to wait to have children to take with me. It would be nice. Of course, I would love it, but I don't have to wait on that anymore. That is the moment that I gained my power and something in me shift. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm excited. I started looking at trips. I'm like, oh, I want to go to New York, because there are places I haven't been. I haven't been to New York. I haven't been out to DC. I need to go out to Cali. I'm like, oh, which places I haven't been? Why do I need to wait on anybody to do these things with. No one is coming to save you. Well, guys, that has been exactly correct. A reminder that the life you want is on the other side of choosing you. So stop waiting and start becoming. I will see you all in our next version of you. All right, bye.